We're going to be talking about two randomized studies that take rhesus monkeys and randomize them to two different diets, one of which is thought to be caloric restriction. And we're going to see if the calorically restricted monkeys live longer. But we want to know this in the context of human beings. And that's important to consider as we look at these studies on rhesus monkeys. Well, not so fast. We got two studies with different results. When I look at these curves all there, I see chaotic and noisy estimates. I don't see a clear signal. One of the things I found really interesting was when we actually get into the details of the foods that are fed to the monkeys. The Wisconsin study is they're feeding them garbage, so I feel bad for those monkeys. That's a problematic study design. If you're used to reading randomized controlled trials in human beings, the methods are presented in a poor manner. It's a quite primitive reporting standards used in this field, and I was shocked. If a drug company ran a study like this drug company would be laughed out of any regulatory agency in the world. But I see no evidence in these studies that caloric restriction extends survival in rhesus monkeys. And finally, my biggest point is that continuing to do this research in laboratory organisms and monkeys is a poor choice and waste of NIH money. We have the hypothesis. We need to test the hypothesis in human beings. I have no confidence that rhesus monkey data will generalize to human beings. These poor animals, are these animal studies actually necessary, or are we merely abusing mice and baboons and rhesus monkeys for no purpose at all? That is a superfluous animal study. And guess what? There are tons of wasteful animal studies. I think there's the moral question of breeding and holding in captivity to participate in experiments that have no value, that to some degree cause suffering to the animals. This is totally pointless. These monkeys in Wisconsin were held prisoner for decades participating in an experiment that I think, at the outset, common sense would tell you is probably not going to be very informative. There is a colossal amount of waste in science funding, and the people who do these studies have no incentive to try to self-correct. So what do you want the public to do? At some point, the public's going to say, you can't tax the plumber or the taxi driver or the bus driver or the electrician to pay for research that has no point for anybody. So you're listening to Medicine Unpacked. Until next time.